Everybody get a candy bar when they came in, both locations? Sorry we couldn't give anyone's online. We didn't know your addresses, sorry. But both locations, raise it in the air, your candy bar. Got a candy bar on the way in. Up in the air, up in the air. Man, some of you ate it. You ate the candy bar. You ate the prop. Hey, I went to church this weekend and I ate a prop. That's what you did. Well, hopefully you have a wrapper, okay? Hopefully you remember what you ate, what's in your belly, okay? Now, how many of you got a payday when you came in? A payday bar. Stand up at both locations if you got a payday bar. Right, give them a big round of applause. You don't know why you're applauding them yet, but that's great. Get a really good look at these people because they represent 2% of America, 2% of Champion Center. They're millionaires. Yes, they are. Man, they've been budgeting forever. Man, they've got a emergency fund. They started investing early. They're just killing it. Avoided all kind of debt. You're rocking, way to go. Take a good look at them first before they sit down and then chase them in the parking lot after church. All right, have a seat. 100 grand bars, stand up, 100 grand at both locations. Give them a big round of applause. Yeah. These folks are not millionaires, but they're on their way to become millionaires. Oh yeah, celebrate that with me, right? Have a seat. Man, they're doing everything that the millionaire is doing, but they started investing a little bit later, but man, they're avoiding all debt. They're rocking. The good news is there's 10% of people doing that. The bad news, it's only 10%. Now, my favorite candy in the world. You ready? Those of you at both locations, a Crunch Bar. Go ahead and stand up. Look around. This is 70% of Champion Center, 70% of America. You know what that means? You're in a crunch. You're normal, which means you're broken, busted. Look around, 70%. Cray cray. Man, look at that. It'll take you 3 months to save $1,000, 6 years of weight of non-mortgage debt. Brutal. Now, how about the zero bars? Stand up if you got a zero bar. Notice there's no applause. Now listen, those of you that are seated at both locations, quit looking at them and being so judgmental. It's just an illustration. Jeez. Do you know what that is? Nothing. Zilch. Zero. Nothing. You ain't got nothing. You're broken, busted. I mean, you're beyond paycheck to paycheck. You're facing bankruptcy. It would take you an entire year to save $1,000. 16 years worth of weight and pressure on you. Almost 1 out of every 5 people in the room. 1 out of 5 people at both of our locations. Think about that. You guys can go and have a seat. Where's my milk duds at? You're like, kind of over here. Milk duds, stand up. You guys have lost all hope. I mean, you're beyond, you're everything that a zero bar is except for another $100,000 in credit cards. 2% of America, 2% of Champion Center. So what does that mean? That means that 88% of us are broke. That means that 88% of us are living paycheck to paycheck or worse, regardless of salary, making $20,000 a year or $250,000 a year. It's not an income problem, it's an out and go problem. 88% of us, if we're just real with each other, we're this third servant that didn't maximize and didn't leverage for the master. Again, not condemnation. We've all made mistakes with money. If you've made mistakes with money, that means you're over 12, right? We peek at the past, we focus on the future. Big difference. So 32 families in the spring went through Financial Peace University, and guess what they experienced in just 63 days, which is 9 weeks at a 2-hour class once a week, so 9 different sessions, 18 hours of their life. They experienced $140,000 in paid off debt, $72,000 in savings, $212,000 turnaround in just 32 family units, 32 budgets. They eliminated or cut up 92 credit cards. That's just 32 families who said that they would do it. And they said, hey, we're gonna go ahead. $6,600 turnaround in their finances each in just 63 days. So that doesn't even count the projection of their life. What I want to do for you right now, both locations, I'm going to show you a little 5-minute video. I want you to sit back, it's movie time, and just relax and soak this in. And so this could be you 18 to 24 months from now when you clean up all that junk. This is what I want you to, we're imagining. Let this help you imagine. Check it out.
Well, I used to be a bank robber, and I served some time in prison, and yes, sir.
My dad thinks I'm here to scream. I'm debt-free for my school loan debt. That was actually the first time I became debt-free. I'm actually here to tell my dad that I have paid off my mortgage.
Wow! Look at Dad!
It was a Saturday night, 4 days before Christmas when the house burned.
It's devastating. We felt like we lost everything when our house burned down.
Whoa, you must have sold something. What'd you sell?
Sold the house.
Okay.
So I'm homeless right now, but I'm okay with it.
I made it up to about the rear tire of his truck, and he opened up his car door and got out. He already had the gun in his hand and was turning towards me and started shooting.
My husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 2008, a year and a half into our marriage.
Wow.
I grew up an atheist and just I just wanted to support her. And then we went there, and like I said, we found an unbelievable pastor, totally changed my views on everything.
The last thing I paid off was the restitution. That was actually just Friday down in the courthouse in downtown Dallas at the federal building down there. I don't want to exaggerate, but to say that it's the same as the day that I got out of prison is how I felt when I got in the button and I pushed 1 on the elevator to get out of that place, and I was done. And that was it, man. My past was in the past, and I didn't know anybody anymore. And that was the end of it.
I love it.
Being debt-free has allowed me to relax. It's allowed me to unplug from my work and allowed me to travel the world. I built this little map for myself, and every piece that I got colored in, or that I colored in, was meant that I saved another $1,000 towards my bigger goal.
Yeah, there's not any stopping you. Yeah, you've got plans for money. Money's going to be a tool in your hands your whole life.
There's nothing like being debt-free. I think so many worries are gone, knowing that I wasn't going to have to come home and pay those experiences off. Staying dedicated and disciplined and giving up leisurely activities for a short term is 1,000% worth the experience and the feelings that come with it.
I went and got a shovel and was looking through some just different areas of the house, and I found a little piece of my son Memphis's baby book, and the footprints were still there.
I mean, we just sat and cried. And I was like, I'm so glad you found these.
And things just began to get beautiful. People would just come and bless us. It was amazing. We got things that were beautiful because that's what the Lord wanted for us at that moment. But we had lived in disaster even before the fire. I can give money to some other family that has a fire. We always gave whenever the Lord led. But now we can give when the Lord leads or when we just feel like it.
What happened 18 months ago that made you decide you needed to get out of debt and could get out of debt?
Found myself in a hotel room one night because I blew up my motorcycle there in Michigan. And I was sitting in the hotel room begging the credit card company to give me another $1,000 line of credit so I could make it back home. The weight off your shoulders, it's like freedom.
A friend of ours who's a captain, he came to get me, and I got picked up, got driven to the hospital.
All she kept talking about was that she had an emergency fund. And all I have is, well, at least I got an emergency fund. He's like, but he's laying on the ER table, and all she's talking about is this emergency fund.
The finances were in place, and I think it was my way of not thinking about what was actually happening to him at the moment.
Now that we're getting back in the swing of things, our plan would be hitting that debt snowball as hard as we can.
So glad that when that diagnosis came and the medical bills started rolling in, we were able to use that emergency fund to not go into debt medically. He passed away in April.
You guys are fighting that fight with him. Meanwhile, he's fighting a fight for you, so that he leaves you debt-free.
Mm-hmm. That was his legacy that he wanted to leave. He wanted
he
to
did.
make sure.
He did. What a wonderful legacy.
I was on my way home from work that night, right after FPU finished. I was listening to the CD. I said the prayer that was in that CD and listened to Dave talk about that.
That's not why I was there. I was there to learn financial, how to do the debt snowball and how to do the different things relating to debt.
And it was in my car that night that I first, accepted the Lord into my heart.
I was not there for any sort of spiritual growth or gain, but through those 9 weeks of being in the class, listen to what was being said, listen to Dave, everything really clicked and it made sense.
He has turned into the man that I have always dreamed of that will lead our family. I feel so blessed every day that I get to have him as my husband.
Wow.
Count it down. Let's hear a great debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1, I'm debt free!
I'm debt free!
I love it.
We're debt free!
I'm debt free!
We're debt free!
Wow!
We're debt free!
I love it. It's good stuff right there. I mean, what do you see in that video? It's more than just money. What you're seeing there is an injection of hope. It's bigger than that. Opening up their eyes, and what we found out is through Financial Peace University, it's not just about debt. It's bigger than that. It's about managing for the Creator. And man, if you're a 20-something, if you're 18 and you're in here, 26 in here, right? You're like, oh, this is more for families and stuff. No, what if you could avoid all the junk that we did? How cool would that be if you never knew debt? You're like, what in the world? Debt doesn't even make sense. Interest received is a reward, interest paid is a penalty. That's just dumb. What if you never knew debt? And then y'all, it's just a marriage conference in disguise. It just is. We see all the time, and couples come in, they're not even looking at each other on the first week. They're like, no, like every time I bring it up, no. By week 3, they're like holding hands, and you're like, oh, little nudge on the leg underneath the table. They're like, dang, you know what I'm saying? By week 7, they can't keep their hands off each other. And you're like, oh, get a room. It's amazing what a budget will do, you know what I'm saying? So sexy. So here's the deal, I can't encourage you enough. I can't encourage you enough to get registered, to take control of your future. And I'm so thankful that you're at a church that cares enough about you that they want to challenge you to move life forward.